Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 56 of Pocket Edition. My name is Sully, and today you are joined by your regular co-host in Mark. How are you today, Mark?
Good, just little tired, just sitting in the aircon.
Yeah, we apologise in advance if there is a slight echo or aircon present in this episode. It's as per usual, quite hot down here in Australia, so for the next month there might be some slight interruptions from the aircons or Mark's chair.
Yeah.
But Mark, today we are discussing, wouldn't quite call it a saga yet, but it's interesting. We're talking about Metro Exodus, and as Count coined it, I believe, the Exodus from Valve's network or distribution platform Steam in favour of Epic Games, their new digital store. So we've got a couple of things to cover with this, because it is a little bit, it does get a little bit confusing in terms of who actually made the decision, who actually owns the IP, and what exactly happened. So, and Mark, feel free to pull me up at any point if you feel like I've misconveyed any information. But essentially, we have Deep Silver, the developer of the Metro series, right? They were acquired by THQ recently when they ran into financial issues. Now, THQ is the publisher for the this Metro game that's releasing, right? However, it was neither Deep Silver's decision or THQ's decision to pull Metro Exodus from Steam and to exclusively distribute it on the Epic Games store. That decision was in fact made by Koch Media, which are actually the intellectual property owners of the series, and they are I believe a sister company that coexist with THQ. So interesting. Have I about summed it up correctly, Mark?
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so it did get a little bit confusing when we were trying to actually research and understand exactly what was going on. Count actually does have a news video up on this, so he might shed a little bit of extra detail, that is, in terms of what, the nitty gritty as to what actually transpired. But what we don't know, Mark, is it hasn't become immediately apparent as to why Koch Media decided to pull from Steam and exclusively distribute on the Epic Games store. When up until this point in time, the games have been freely available. Previous entries in the series have been readily available. I retract freely because they're not free, but readily available on the Steam store. And in fact, Metro Exodus has been available for pre-order for some time until it's recently been pulled. Now, THQ have come out and stated that they are honouring the pre-orders via Steam. So if you did pre-order on Steam, your pre-order will be honoured. So you'll still be able to download the game via Steam, and there's been talks that the DLC pass will also be available through Steam, which creates another interesting situation that, Mark, you touched on, and that is that the DLC might be available on Steam for those who didn't pre-order, but not the game. So that's interesting as well. But Mark, I'm gonna stop rambling. I'm gonna let you jump in and shed some thoughts on this.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, like, for Epic Games Store, because this is the first sort of major shift of one sort of storefront to another, whereas so far, even though Epic's not that new, not that old, we've had purely exclusives on them or just multi-platform sort of things on them. Like we had Darksiders 3 was both on Epic Games as well as Steam. Supergiant's new game, Hades, is only on Epic Games, but this is the first time we've had a game that was on Steam just going, no, we're going to shift and jump over.
Yeah, and quite at a unfortunate time as well, because
it's less than a month out, I think.
Yeah, it's February. I think they said it's releasing February 15th by memory. The timing's unfortunate because, like we said, it's been available for pre-order for a long time through Valve's Steam platform. And it seems like there's been some kind of last-minute bid by either Epic to acquire it, or maybe a realization by Koch Media that the grass is greener on the other side and there's more financial gain. We just don't know. That's what's not transparent. It is however good of Koch Media and THQ to honor the original pre-orders, though, because there's a lot of unhappy campers on the Steam Valve side. And as you mentioned, or you dug up earlier, Mark, people are review bombing on the Steam platform the previous Metro titles to show their anger and frustration.
Yeah, it's it's not a nice reaction.
No,
but it's like, you can sort of understand it, but at least the pre-orders are being honoured. But how he said that it's less than a month out, and they've swapped to Epic Games Store. This sort of 2-week or so period before the game comes out is like prime marketing to get pre-orders. And it's just it's rough for Steam, rough for everyone else. Probably good for Epic, depending on how it's handled, because it might just seem like they're cheating. Sort of thing like that. It's just how you view it. Yeah, it's just how you view it. Like, I personally don't mind the Epic Games Store. I don't care too much about having another launcher on my PC, but I know a lot of people don't like that because they like having a big collected library that they can see on one launcher.
Well, Count and I spoke about this on the newscast when we were talking about Epic Games. I think not last one, but the one before, about my frustration regarding that's very exact thing about fracturing your digital library. Like, the thing that I love most about my physical library is that they're all in the one spot. They might be on different systems, but my collection, whatever platform, exists in the same set of drawers. I know where all of it is, but over the last 5 to 10 years, we've seen all these different digital storefronts. Like, I've bought games on Wii, Wii U, Switch, Xbox 360, arcade, all the way back in the day. I fucking can't remember what I've bought. I haven't even got those consoles anymore. So not only can I not remember what I have, but I don't even have access to them. So it gets very... I think people's fear is losing track of what they actually own across all these different digital storefronts and platforms. And sometimes these digital storefronts get stuck on certain consoles. Like, look at the Wii Shop, Mark. That's closing down real soon, I think. So all the games that are on there, if you don't still have the consoles that they're stuck on, like already downloaded, you're going to lose access to those. Like, if, for say example, you had a Wii and then you bought a different Wii and you haven't re-downloaded them, they're gone. You're not getting them back. So I can certainly understand people's frustration in terms of wanting to keep everything, like, for example, locked within their Steam library, because let's face it, Steam's been the big dog for a long time and everybody uses Steam. That's where everybody's games are. So the thought of being forced out by real competition, I'm not surprised it's frustrating, because as much as we harp on about Steam needing to lift their game, like, they're a little bit rough around the edges in terms of, like, the content gets a little bit murky and all this early access shit seems a little bit kind of nefarious and a little bit schemy sometimes from some of these dodgy guys that pop up on the platform. As much as that's a little bit frustrating, in terms of what they offer us and the library and the catalog, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. Like, the whole publisher and creator side, where, the Epic Game Store is more attractive because they're getting a bigger cut of the profit, is attractive for them. Like, that doesn't affect us. We're not too worried about that. We're just worried about keeping our game catalog in the one spot and having options, which is readily available through Steam in terms of what we can actually buy, purchase, and play. So I can certainly understand why people are getting a little bit frustrated.
It also doesn't help that, like, Epic is the new kid on the block, and say it does fail, then everything that's on that launcher is gone.
Yeah, and perhaps you bought Metro through it, so now you've got one game stuck in the wilderness. Now, having said that, though, I believe I've been doing a little bit of dabbling here and there regarding what people's options are in terms of trying to keep all of their games in the one spot. Now, apparently, I believe this is correct. I think I've done it once or twice because I seem to recall doing it with StarCraft. Apparently, you can add games to your Steam library. So, obviously, they're not purchased through Steam, but you can just essentially create a quick link or like an exe boot up in your Steam library. You know how you boot everything from your Steam library?
Yeah.
Apparently, you can port games in. There's also some other tool sets or software available where it's not available through Steam or any other digital distribution site, but it's like third-party software where you can download it, and it basically collects all the games on your system from all the different providers, and it just creates basically a playlist for them. So that could be an option for people if you are getting games, like Assassin's Creed Odyssey through Uplay, or you're getting your Battlefield games through Origin, or you're getting other games through Steam, or you're getting Metro Exodus on the Epic Games Store. If your library is fractured, there are options in terms of gathering all of those games and keeping them in the one library. So look up some software options for that if you're getting a little bit stressed out by losing, in the sense that you're losing track of everything. Because that's very real. It's real for me. And I try to avoid buying digital wherever possible. And if I do buy digital, it's always on the system where I believe has the most longevity, which up until this point has been Steam. Yeah. But that's getting murky now.
Yeah, I mean, like I've talked to Count about it. That like I've got a big Steam library, but I don't play it. But I've been rebuying my Steam library on Switch. And I can keep track of it easily because they're not just like the names and I have to select it. It's like on Switch they're all the pictures of what I bought.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like I have a much more visual sort of list, and it reminds me a bit of having like a physical collection.
Yeah, well, I mean that totally makes sense. Like wanting to rebuy them on Switch, because Switch does offer that unique play advantage in terms of like you're probably sacrificing some bells and whistles here and there, but being able to play in your bed late at night, laying down, like you can't do that on PC, dude.
Yeah. I mean, like,
or a console.
You can with great difficulty.
Yeah, with great difficulty. Yeah, before we get too off topic, Mark, what do you think actually enticed Koch Media to make the decision to pull their game and exclusively distribute it on the Epic Games Store? Do you think it is just the greater value proposition, like they're going to take a larger cut of the revenue from the Epic Games Store in comparison to Steam?
It could be. It could be like they didn't want to deal with Steam, or they didn't want to deal with Valve, because I don't know how it is to deal with them. But considering everyone else jumps on with them, they mustn't be too hard to deal with.
Yeah.
It might be a better cut. They might want to change. Epic might have put in a big bid for it.
Yeah, well, that happens.
Yeah,
I mean, we see Sony and Microsoft make bids for things all the time in terms of exclusivity. Remember Tomb Raider?
Yeah. I mean,
one-year exclusivity.
And Epic's got a lot of money to throw around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's probably it. I think we probably just... Not only is the value proposition slightly better on the Epic Games Store in terms of the cut they take, but I'm willing to bet that Epic wanted to fire a shot over the bow of Steam and like acquire this for an X amount of time exclusivity, like we see Microsoft do. Well, not so much recently, but they were doing it quite frequently at the start of this generation in terms of buying exclusivity from third-party developers. So, yeah, I think you're probably on the money there. But do you feel like this is really the first big shot that we've seen get fired at Steam?
Yeah.
Yeah,
because the other ones were like, oh yeah, it's on Epic, but it wasn't going to be on Steam. Sort of thing like that. Mm-hmm. But this is the first one where it was going to be on Steam. It was a huge high-profile game. And now they just pulled this.
Yep, and get fucked, basically. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. This is, to me, the first... this is when it kind of becomes real, I think, for Valve, because they were very displeased. And they handled themselves, obviously, publicly very well. They just stated that they were very displeased, and I'm paraphrasing, displeased and saddened that the game had been pulled from the service, but they reassured people that the pre-orders were being honoured. So that's good. But yeah, I imagine they're quite frothing over a Valve. Yeah. But what do they do, dude? What do they do? Like we've spoken about in the past, they're apparently, well, they already have. They've increased the percentage of cut that developers take home. But Counts stated before that he's not really sure that there's much they can do at this point in time because they're already a well-established platform and service, and this is the first time they've had any real competition crop up. So beyond increasing that kind of cut for the publishers and developers in terms of what they take away from the sales, what do they do to make their service like more, I don't want to say more competitive because they're already the biggest back catalogue of games on PC. So how do they ward off strong competition or stamp it out in the case of Epic Games? Like, how do they do that?
Like, I don't like the most I can see. Like from what Steam is, it's brand recognition, their history, and I'd guess their sales. Because when they in terms of an actual seasonal sale and things like that, not like total sales revenue and things like that. It's like when they do the Steam summer sale and things like that. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And things like that. Like, people know to wait for the Steam sales because they're ridiculous compared to, like, other competitors. But then again, like, it's just... Up till now, it's mainly just been a storefront.
Yeah.
And then again, like, Epic, like, their main draw point was the money for developers, but that's pretty much it, besides another thing of brand recognition.
Yeah, I think Epic Games is just presenting this fresh face that feels clean and good, right? So they're giving away, I think it is, to if you have an account that you're getting, I think it was something like 2 free games a month. So that's something that Steam doesn't do, like kind of like your PSN Plus or Xbox Live Gold subscription deal, except you don't even have to subscribe. You just have to hold an account and they're giving you games month, every month, right?
And you can even set the launcher to like not launch when you turn on the PC. You don't need the launcher to play your game.
Yeah, so they're doing a lot that I think is enticing people over, and getting exclusive games like this is it's how you start to like take ground from Valve. But I think if Valve want to kind of maintain their existing market share and kind of stamp out competition, like they have the power to do everything Epic Games is doing, like offering free games every month, or just like making their service look more attractive. Because at the moment, they don't really do anything outside of, like you said, the winter sales and summer sales and all that kind of stuff, which is like a one kind of week period, right, out of every year. They don't really do much for us. You know, they've provided the platform for developers to release all their early access shit and all their games and stuff, but that's about it. They don't do anything, and there's a lot of shit on there too. Yeah, like
look how long it took for the Aussie dollar to be put on Steam.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what, 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, they don't do anything, dude. They've just kind of stood there, just trying to kind of like building some feature sets into their platform, but they don't actually do anything for us. You know, and I'm not saying they necessarily have to, but when you have competition, it's in your best interest to incentivize people to stay or join your platform, right? So it seems like they're kind of struggling with this idea of, you know, what do we do? Or like, don't really want competition. You know, like, take action before you get stamped out, right? I mean, we've spoken about this before in the past, Mark. Look at Discord. Discord has a game store now, and Discord is the far superior place, or chat app, sorry, I'll say chat app, right? It is far superior to Steam in every respect in terms of like communication for gamers, right?
Yeah.
And then they rolled in a digital game store. And I mean, I don't think that's going to necessarily go anywhere, but that's not good for Steam. That's not good for them, right? To be one of the first platforms to have a huge digital store and not to build in all those features that Discord already has, you know, that they're crushing them on. Like, why have you not done that, Steam? Why are you not the best chat app for gamers if you're the biggest digital game launcher? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, it just seems a little bit lax and lazy. So, I mean, for me, in my opinion, like, what I want to see from Steam is just incentivize your platform. Fucking advertise. You know, like, Epic Game Store is plastering themselves over everything. Remember the 2018 Game Awards?
Yeah.
They were everywhere, and they had ads. And not only did they have like imagery, but they had verbal recognition of their platform. Like, fucking advertise, Steam. Put out some sexy ads and make yourself look attractive. Offer some free games every month. Like, spruce up your service. Fucking fix your chat. So much shit they could do better to retain their install base. I don't know, but we'll see how they'll respond. Perhaps, Mark. You know, we heard a while ago that they were working on not only a new HTC Vive, but exclusives. Apparently, they're going balls deep in exclusives again. I think they said they had 3 exclusives that were in works, and we found out about this like well into earlier 2018 that they were working on exclusives. So perhaps that's their trump card, releasing exclusives for their platform again.
Releasing Half-Life 3.
Can't say that, Mark. That's the trigger word for the internet. Can't say that. Bad, Mark. Bad. Yeah, you're right. I mean Half-Life 3 would go a long way in terms of...
That's literally all they have to do. Like, similar thing with like Square Enix. All they need to do is release Final Fantasy VII. It's just that it hasn't happened. Yeah. I mean, that's absolutely how you keep people or bring people to your system, release Half-Life. Yeah.
So,
like whoever gets a hold of Cyberpunk 2077 will pretty much seal the PC's fate.
Oh, that's gonna square it all away, man.
Yeah. Just imagine this bidding war with CD Projekt at the head. Like, who wants our game?
Oh, it would totally be Microsoft just frothing money out of their mouth for that. But can you imagine if it was like exclusive through the Windows Store? Like the cringe factor associated with that?
Yeah.
It would be huge. Oh, anyway, dude, have you got any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
No, I think I just had mine.
Alright, Mark wants Half-Life 3.
I want Cyberpunk.
Right. Yeah, Cyberpunk. Well, I think that's pretty much a wrap. I think we've pretty much dabbled through the ins and the outs of the situation and what we want from Steam as well. But by all means, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments. And as always, if you've enjoyed this episode, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening to this episode on SoundCloud, be sure to come over and check out our YouTube channel where you'll find a variety of content that doesn't make to that platform and the back catalogue as well, because we only use Steam. Sorry, we only use Steam. We only use SoundCloud for the latest episodes, as the subscription fee is quite it's too expensive for my pocket. So come over and check out our YouTube channel where you'll find everything available ready on demand. But until next time, guys, have a good one, and we'll see you in episode 57 of Pocket Edition next week. Ciao.